Holy snap and duck shit, what a week it's been. 4 days since I've done my last video, and so much has happened. Um, I'm never ever going to do it justice, so I try to highlight, I try to recap, I try to get the news, firstly, for people that ask, and secondly, for my mates personally, and it helps me sort of analyse where it is in the game and where we're going up to. So, as a really good thing here, um, this issue here. So fake sales, people trying to scam, people trying to yeah, it's happening in pretty much every big thing in crypto. It happens through Discord. You get scam tweets, scam mentions. It's really cool to see them opened up in the community. It's super important. Let's have a quick look at the prices we've got. At the moment, it's come down to just under 13 cents for Atlas. That hit a high of 29 cents. Absolutely fucking amazing. You just wouldn't have expected that from the launch. So we're talking sub 1 cent price, 0.0013 they started off. Probably one of the best IEOs of the year. I haven't done the exact maths. I think it was something like $100,000 if you won an IEO ticket and held on to and didn't get rid of your coin straight away. 19 bucks Polis went up to. Absolutely massive price. It's again come down. I don't think those prices were ever going to hold. That was 2% of the coins released, and there is talk that Star Atlas has changed the initial purchases, the initial investors. That's changed the deals, and you can hear all of those on the Town Hall 16 today. So they are good to know, and it's good to how open it is, because it sort of shows you that they don't want to fuck up the coin prices. They don't want the early investors getting all the coins that they've got, likely at a discount, as that happens with any crypto project. And they don't want to just swamp the market with those coins. So of course there are places you can go and sit your coins and try and get some liquidity, get some mining out of those. But let's go through. I've got a list here as always. There's so much information that's come out in the last 4 days. I know I say that every single video, but we'll get into one thing. I obviously have a scroll of things to look through, but try and keep up with your tweets, and I'll explain why. There's so many tweets from Star Atlas. If you need to put it on auto mention, then so be it. But this tweet came out about skins, and even I fucked it up. So the skins were released from early on. There was 3 from FTX, and then there was 2 from Radium. Now, what I failed to miss was the skins are available in a limited quantity of 500 units of each skin. They'll stay on the secondary FTX market. They'll be accessible to their owners on the Solana blockchain in the weeks following the end of the sale. So they were jet skins, and they were sleek. They look sick. They are really, really cool. I like the second one. Kind of reminds me very similar to the Bob, but just unique. Only 500 skins of each, so 1,500 total. And they would have been snapped up in no time. What I didn't realize was I was at work. I read through this quickly, but I'd kind of read something that they'd be out for a little while. So I didn't read the part that said 500. So DYOR, do your own research. Don't rely on tweets. I spam this out on Great Protocol in a couple of channels, and even then I still didn't realize it. The Radium one's a little bit differently. They're X5 skins. They're pretty cool. To get into those, again, you needed to get in a lot earlier. To get into those, you needed to put liquidity into 2 of the pools, and that was Polis Ray and Atlas Ray. And to do that, the numbers were you needed to have 0.01 LP in the Atlas Ray. So the Atlas is the lower coin, of course, and then 0.0001 in the Polis Ray. Now, I waited until I got home from work. I tried to do this, and I put $85 worth of Polis, matched it with USDC, didn't even get close. In the end, I just thought, nah, stuff that. I bought posters, I got skins. Now, let's have a look at the prices. 700, 650, 720 minimum price for skins that started as $88 a day later. It's a fucking ripoff. But this is what's going to happen. This is part of what we're doing on a blockchain game. What's really cool is things are available, but you've got to get there. You've got to get the information. Otherwise, you might be priced out. And I'm not going to pay that. I've got a skin for a jet, but they look cool. And yeah, it's just one of those things that's really hard to see. So, Galactic Asset Offering, first two waves have gone. We've seen a lot of ships. Now, this sale will go for 3 months. It's changing as we go along. The website's changing as we go along. And unfortunately for me, I keep having dramas. I keep doing hard resets and it doesn't fix it. But I don't get my decks come up. I know other people have had dramas, but a lots of information happening after the first day, the first one. Now, the first sale was the most amount of ships that are going to be sold in a single day. We saw the Thripid. They released for 9,100, I believe, and sold over 20,000 in the first couple of hours. So that then led to tweets from Star Atlas saying that they would possibly re-release ships and put them at prices that they had intended on them being released. Instantly, it's changed the market and all these kinds of things. And in the second release, which we saw things like the Guardian, I believe, was the Jet come out as well on the second release. And I know not the Lone Star, that's the skin, but the Fimbus, the build your own ship pack lights, that came out. That's got a cool bit of a story. They need more pages. They need more things. The skin should have its own section. We shouldn't need to look at that. We shouldn't get confused. Yeah, it's just one of those things. They are building this as they go along. They've got 120 plus staff. This asset offering is allowing them to be able to gear up. They plan on getting 4 times that by this time next year. They've said maybe the end of the year they'll gear up. I'm sure they'll analyze where they're getting the money in, all that kind of stuff. There was mention of an asset drop every Tuesday and Thursday. Stay tuned for more information. I don't know what that is. I don't know whether that's based on what you've bought. We were told today that if you get ships that are bigger that are a 2-seater, you'll get a pilot license with that delivered to your wallet, and that's going to be for all of your ships. If you've got multiple 2-seaters, that pilot license will be for that. If you get a 3-seater or bigger, like a Hero or a Guardian, then you'll get the captain's license. That'll be airdrop. Now, I don't know if you get multiple large ships on the one wallet, whether you get multiple pilot licenses. I didn't hear that. Multiple captains, whichever. So that may factor into what you need to do. Now, there was a lot of information that even as I'm researching and watching tweets, there's a lot of information we're not getting. And they did say in today's town hall that they will try to put more information out for the next one. Stuff that I actually watched one of Metaverse Explorer's videos was he shows how their guild had a list of asset IDs, and he suggested going into the Serum decks or even the Radium decks and buying these off of the decks rather than going into Star Atlas. And I can't even look at the prices on my Star Atlas, so I would have to do something like this. But the problem is you need to get yourself a hold of things like this. This is all of the asset IDs. Now, to me, I believe these should be out in the open. We shouldn't be fucking around. We shouldn't be allowing some people to have unfair advantages. We should be able to have all of this stuff out in the open. They are available, but they're not pinned to message boards. They're not tweeted out, okay, these are the assets if you guys choose to use a Serum Dex instead of, or you're at work, you're on limited bandwidth and you want to try to have a equal chance. I really do think that needs to be looked at. Now, we've also had mention that you will be able to fly more than one ship. So I'm going to be going through my notes and I may go over some information a second time. Let's just for the people that don't know, let's add a ship in. So I did have, we'll go back to that, the Calico Guardian. So I've put this in. I don't know why my little graph on the side is not working there, but you can see the buy order price is at 35,000. That's the top price, and the sell orders are at 40.5. Today it was mentioned that the ships that are sold will not be resold for the rest of the year. So that has already changed the order books. I've noticed the Guardian has gone up in price. I talked with my team and we considered this. Now we're going to be waiting and possibly going in for another ship down the track. So let's add in another code. We'll have a look at the Compact Hero, which was a pretty cool ship, an all-rounder. Control C. So we would add that in here. Market ID, you'd paste that in. Give the old Barndo internet a little bit of time. Market label. And don't know if that's exact, but it works for what I do. So now you can see the hero. I think this started at 3,500 first price, and the second wave of sales was 4,160. Again, I've not seen complete tweets of this. It would be really cool. I'm at work. I work 12-hour swings. I travel, and for me, the data is not always great. It would be really cool to see videos or tweets of this kind of information accessible to the public, sent out, tweeted. That would give us good ideas rather than having to go through tweets and ask the question that's likely been asked 35 times. And given that, so starting at 3,500, a couple of days later, 2, 3 days later, you know, 5 grand. So that's almost a 50% profit from that kind of stuff. So we've got to be really careful that we're not overspending on these. There's going to be other medium ships later. There's 120 ships on their books and future plans, of which 40 will be sold this year. They're talking about possibly releasing around another 30 ships at this point. So I've talked about the dexes. Minigame DAO. All right, so this the smallest. We may be able to control more than one ship. So there's going to be minigame press coming out, and that's going to be the first kind of level of play to earn on Solana. We're going to be able to use our assets to do ship missions. They're going to be coming first. You're going to be getting Atlas, possibly Polis, and possibly NFTs. Exactly, all of that information comes out as it comes out, but you're going to be able to control a fleet of ships. So not necessarily just the one ship. You're not really flying those ships per se, so the pilot's license, captain license wasn't super important. Some of the quests are going to need a fleet of ships. So not only can you possibly control your own fleet, but you'll be able to pair up with guild members, other people to do those bigger ships. And what they've said is that if you have a bigger ship, a medium, or even the biggest sections from those, I get these names wrong all the time. So like a Guardian is the next tier. Does it have it in there? Let's have a quick look. Not rarity. It's the next tier. See, I do get this fucking wrong. I should have written down. It's in their pamphlet. But it's a bigger ship. You're talking about an initial investment somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000. So if you're not making around $50 a day, is that going to be a viable ship for you, for your team? You have to kind of compare those things. If you're going to be doing a smaller ship and don't pay for resources to refuel and all those kinds of things, how is that going to work? Between 5 to 10 million for the Titan ships has been mentioned. It's going to be auctioned, I believe. So is there going to be one Titan ship for every faction? That hasn't been completely given information, but you're going to have to think that they're going to go north of 5 million, up to 10. I could see a world where it happens. There's so much money in this game already. You can actually see home. You can go to overview and you can actually see the leaderboards available now, and you can see wallets. Oh wow, so they've started these. This has just started this afternoon. Top organizations, total organizations. They have said they're considering taking off the wallet IDs. What was really cool about today's town hall was listening into the explanation about how it's blockchain. This is different from normal gaming. All of the information is out there in the public. People can inspect wallets, where things are sold, where they're going, where things have been minted. There was a wallet on here earlier that had 4.5 million of assets. You're seeing multiple wallets of a couple of million. These have now got avatar photos. Yeah, this is just changing. Wow. Claim. Am I logged in? Have I got a wallet logged in? I didn't think I did. PSX4s, claim. Wow, this is all so much shit changing. Let's try to get through my list. I don't want to get too hung up. I'll go through the town hall list. So there's almost 60,000 on Discord. So in 4 days, that's gone up about 9,000. There was over 1,000 today in the Discord live listening to the town hall. There was so much alpha. There was a lot of deep conversations talking about things like showing these numbers. There's also a lot of talk about we need to educate people that are coming in that need to learn about blockchains, about gaming, setting up a Solana wallet, and that's going to come down to people like myself, content creators, to put out how-to videos, not these dirty, great big, long half-an-hour updates. 5-minute clean video of how to set up a Solana blockchain wallet. So setting up a native Solana wallet where it's either a Phantom or whether it is a Soulflare, a Solid, all those kinds of things. I've talked about the ships. They were very broad with the ship prices because one of the reasons they mentioned was they didn't want people putting up early orders in here. They didn't want people putting up early orders for 2, 3, 10 ships. They didn't want to have that happen, yet people ended up doing it anyway, even without prices. People were told a general, all right, the medium to large ship range is going to be from 1,500 to 9,000. People would then go via, is it a rare, is it a legendary, is it an epic? Made a guess on those ship prices. They preloaded up orders. Now you have to keep in mind fees are taken away. If a ship comes out at 3,900 and you've only put in a price order at 3,900, then that order wouldn't work. You would need just that little bit of a kicker above that to pay for the fees. But coming next, asset sales are the third wave. They're talking about refreshing the order market. So they're going to clean all the order markets out and put them up. So that's going to give us a little bit more of an even peg. The second wave, the Guardians, didn't sell out for 3 minutes. I believe there was 700, 235, not even close. These will be wicked ships. I would have loved one. Can't afford it. You've got to have your access into the game. There's going to be people that are going to be spending $200 on a ship. Maybe they get it off the auction house from a second-hand vendor, from someone who's selling it on the DEX market, and they might not be able to earn the money from it. You've got to, everything is used, being safe with the money you put in. Make sure it's something that's amenable for you and your personal situation. You need to be very careful about that. I'm seeing so many different games, especially on Solana, because that's what I'm concentrating on studying and putting out to people. I'm seeing people paying 2 to 5 Sol for some of these cards, selling them at losses because the games aren't out. They've got no way of making money in the meantime. So same with this, you've got to be prepared to hold on to this asset for a little amount of time. Try and avoid buying things off the marketplace like structures. So the land stakes won't be in the game for 3 months. So it says there January 1st available. So you just saw people putting out ridiculous prices. Is that updated? No, it's not. It's disappointing. I'd have to get the idea and go into a DEX to do that or do it on a phone. So you'll see people going $100-$200 for these. They've talked about the poster entries and how it was $58 of game value for the first poster initially expected, but now they're saying they're not even close to those numbers. It's going to be based more about $110 to $120 worth of value. So that got you things like a drill, claim stake tier 1 power plant. You got a X4 bike. I think you got a skin for that bike. There was a whole shitload of items. That means you've got to try to think a little bit more to do your backwards maths and work out what roughly price is going to be. You would have to hope the power plant, claim stake, and mining drill, you'll be able to get away with those, and the space station, you might get away for those under $80 for the 4 of them, maybe. You can't quote me on it. It's not financial advice, but if you're going to go now and buy an early land claim stake, then of course you take those risks of buying something with no knowledge. Now, I did want to play some of the town hall from a section here. This was put up first by Metaverse Nomads. These guys I'm really enjoying my time listening to these guys.
Are front running the book. We were attempting to sell at MSRP. However, we could not execute a sale for the total volume.
MSRP, I don't exactly remember the acronym, but it's basically the entry price that Star Atlas wanted to sell the item for.
Of ships that we wanted to, because those transactions would fail when we submitted them to the block. This led to us working on the fly to essentially create a script that would allow us to sell 10 units at a time. However, the purchasing rate in a lot of cases was exceeding the rate with which we could actually sell assets into the pool. And I do want to point out here as well that the traditional and common functionality of a any exchange is always to sell at the highest bid down into the liquidity. And so there's no way for us to place an order somewhere lower in the book. We had to sell through all of the liquidity before we could reach our MSRP price. And we did that as expeditiously as we could. But again, the discovery of this technical limitation where we couldn't actually place a single order at MSRP with the total volume of ships that we wanted to sell was something that we had to overcome rapidly, right? So we had to be dynamic there, and we were. And now we have a solution for that. And going forward, as we deploy permissioned markets, we will also have the ability to flush the book in advance of our actual listing. So going into the future, no longer will you have to worry about the people that have the orders that are front running sales, because we will clear the book and then we will place our sale at MSRP and you'll have an opportunity to get in. We'll also look at ways.
Okay, so a lot of really cool information there. If you're serious about getting into this game, listening to these every week, catching up, just download them, listen to them at some stage. They are super, super cool. A lot of what they talk about here as well was Serum's beta. We're still using an early blockchain. We're still using things that these guys are trying to fix as they find the problems. People were having issues where orders weren't getting cleared. One of my boys had the same thing. He bought himself an X5 and it didn't clear. And he's never used Step before. Just Tisk. Step Finance, so app.step.finance. You can go to that. Have a look. Always, again, safety, safety, safety. Make sure you're getting these from reputable. I'll do the example. Make sure you're getting your information of where you get these things from. Good sources. Step.finance. There's so many scams, so many problems. You've got to really be on there. So you Step Finance, you connect your wallet. There's so many things to see here. They've just set up MP4 visions, so you can see your Keiju cards, for example, are animated. They're moving around and stuff. But they've got a clear order, so you can actually finish a transaction. I just noticed that without seeing the tweet one day, because I've just used this from the beginning. And I really, really love this. There is another dashboard, Sona, I think that may be. I've just always stuck with this. You know, Barndog's only got a small brain. I can only learn so much at a time. So that was really cool as well. So they don't want to create a flippers market. That's one of the things they've talked about. They're trying not to, but then they go and release information where they say, well, they're not selling these ships for the rest of the year. And then they go and do shit like this, where the price goes straight up. This was sitting around 4.5 yesterday. People didn't think they would be, people thought they would be re-releasing the heroes again. The Guardians went up a bit too. So it's, you know, like a lot of us are on the same peg, but there is information out there that you've got to do your research as well. The next phase will be the ship missions. Team play will be talked about. I've talked about that. Ship quests will be based on the ship sizes. I've also talked about that. I think you're going to be able to get out of your ships and explore planets. Maybe that's going to be some kind of quest as well. They talk about the quests being a little bit automated. Individual ship configurations won't happen. Where did I have that? Where did I have that? All right. Crafting loop isn't going to be in the game straight away. So you're not going to be able to stake your mines. Even the people that have the posters early adoption aren't going to be able to stake mines and claim land. I thought there might be a little bit of an early advantage for people like myself that bought in early, were smart enough to go, oh, $64, shit, you might as well take a punt on that. But no, that's not the go yet. Tigu possibly sold next sale, so maybe in the launch 3. So Tigu is the pet. Now, apparently there is 2 types. There's brown. So if you get the Brown Town one, I'm not sure whether that one has abilities, but apparently the green one. So does that mean if you get this, is that the skin? Yeah, it's the skin. So maybe with the skin, I think they give you some kind of repair bonus to your ship. It's funny how the boys now, I've got the teammate guys are helping me and telling me some of these things. Yeah, here we go. So arbitrary in minigame. So they're not going to be super immersive questing. I imagine they're going to be, again, similar to something like Alien Worlds, but then they're going to have some cool information along the way, and they want you to do it, have some information, some interaction, some pictures. They want you to enjoy it, but of course it's a mini game. They're building this as they come along. I've talked about the licenses. I'll come back to that little section now. I did have posts from my own DAC. I've talked about that. Badge UI, teams not flippers market. decentralized insurance will reduce risk in the danger zone. Um, Still not set in stone. It's not set in stone whether being in deep space is going to be a flat out someone comes in from stealthily behind you, blows the shit out of you, and there's your NFT. Like, who's going to spend 30 grand on a ship, take it into outer space if some dirty, great, big, stealthy One um, just comes up behind you and blows you out of space? Like, that's just fucked. Quite simply. It is just dirty. So, there is a lot more. Talked about how the first wave was the biggest wave. Um, they might be doing the full game playable on the phone. That's a possible action, but it's all, they've got to get this stuff going out. I've talked about the skins as well. Let's have a quick look at these races. So this will be coming hopefully in the next week. So you'll be able to pick your race. You can play any race with your faction. Now there's talk about your DAC is your guild basically is only going to be able to play and accept people from one faction. But you could be any race. So you need to have a think about what style of game you want to play. Do you want to play a data runner? Excuse me. Do you want to play a bounty hunter? Do you want to be a stealth runner, a pirate? Do you want to do quick runs? Do you want to be Uster? Uster have increased defenses, I believe, ship integrity, and I think maneuverabilities, whereas Mud have increased firepower and longer distance. So there is going to be an advantage for a human in the mud to fly a human ship, human created. Now, I don't know, I haven't seen the list of those. And, is Piers, Calico, are they human? They sound human to me, but you're not limited on buying a human ship and taking a human. The ones that come out in the GAOs, they're going to be flyable by anyone, and you get the pilot license to go with it and/or captain's license. But super cool that you've got that option to be able to min-max and say, well, look, I personally played tanks for 10 years in World of Warcraft. Fucking love my tanks. Feral tank, that's what I played in Classic. I took 2 months off work to get rank 12 to go and get my battleground gear. It's the kind of player I am and the addict. I just love it. I want to be able to go in there. To me, Worcester appeals to me. AI race that show off by taking physical forms, and they love their clothes and dressing up and stuff like that. Hey, look, maybe I've got a little bit of game in there. We never know. So I'll be dressing up in the game. I've got some skins and shit as well. So that's where things like, you have a look, I was talking in many other videos about how they're creating these markets for other ones. Fabricant, they did a challenge for the Oysters for the dress ups, and there was awards given, and Fabricant prices boomed up in the last few days. It 5 times, I believe. So there's all these cross-chain things that are coming into the game. 3 faction split. All right, so it's a really interesting subject. Factions are taking choices here. So it's really cool to be able to actually see this. And this is awesome. So at the moment, these factions have asset values assigned, right? So we're looking even. They're all in the low 200 millions. So it would be really sucky to see One take 90% of the people. So if 90% of the people went One and said, righto, we're all going to go One, he talks about, Wags talks about a pie. If you've got 3 slices of pie, then One are going to take all a bite out of that 1/3 slice in the green zone. But later on, they may control the medium and the deep space, which means that they're going to take a hindrance at the early game to then create the end game that's going to be longer control. And it's going to absolutely suck balls to play a game like World of Warcraft Classic that just released. I don't play it anymore. They're in their Burning Crusade, but everyone went Horde. Oh, sorry. Yes, everyone went Horde, and just they were better racials. They were better racial abilities. Hopefully, it's balanced out in here. There's been talk about rebalancing systems. There's a DAO DAO that's going to be able to vote on things and change things. But if this is the start of it and things are balanced, that is going to be so cool. But I think it's in the game's interest for things like esports come in later. You know, you might see esports having these dirty, great big 10, $20 million battles in deep space, yearly battles. If it's a one-sided game, that may not be possible. Um, you want to think of this 5 to 10 yearly. They want this game to kick on forever. It could be a generational game. You could hand down your tier one poster with the land stake that came with it. There's possibilities of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I will put down in the links the Star Atlas, this interview with Final Frontier. So Atlas Theory, Chris, I believe his name is doing a series for this, and it's enjoyable. I enjoy this. I'll sit in my crane at work and I'll listen to these. And the leader for Final Frontier had a military background. They're planning on being about industry and all of that kind of stuff. There we go, Ardo. To me, it was enjoyable. They kind of throw out the gauntlet saying, you're not going to want to take us on. I believe there's going to be lots of guilds and DACs who are going to put out those kinds of comments. And also, of course, Metaverse Explorer, he put this out on the day, and that was really helpful to see that video for me. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. As always, probably going to be longer than I had intended, but thank you, Mother, for the rabbits.